we will eliminate the threat of a violent overthrow of our republic. But at the same time, we must now reform the social, the economic and political institutions in our country.
This government will remain committed to ensuring transparency and good governance, freedom of expression and of the press, and the protection of media practitioners and their rights in the practice of their profession.
Do you see any differences, similarities po during the senior to now na kay Marcos Jr.?
Medyo syempre iba pa din yung situation. Si senior, for the most part, he was ruling under an authoritarian setup, no? So very powerful yung role ng military doon. So yun yung we always had to reckon with that. Between 1984 and 87 na maraming cases ng mga massacre, bombing sa provinces lalo na talagang binabaliktad, and then the witnesses suddenly disappear. So we always tell our correspondents, you have to make sure you document everything well. Hindi naman natin noon pag nag-record si Edgar Cadagat sa Bacolod, kahit na-record na yung farmer na nag-allege ng torture, hindi niya mapapadala kay Chuchay. Hindi gaya ngayon, padala ko sa'yo, andali may audio file, may video file. There was a month when we had about 12 libel cases in different parts of the country, and that to me was isa ding nightmare kasi ikaw pa yung nabaliktad. Yun yung sort of misinformation we had to deal with kasi ayaw nilang tanggapin yung mga narratives as provided by our regional correspondent. But now we are supposed to be in a fully functioning democracies. Tapos ang military these days, parang palagi siyang napoproject siya as focusing on external threats. Siyempre, meron pa rin ganun kaba na pagka pa rin yung mga mas critical, meron pa rin palaging ganung risk.
Sabi ng Reporters Without Borders, ngayong 2023, nasa pang 132 ang ranking ng Pilipinas sa 180 na bansa sa World Press Freedom Index. Nananatili pa rin ang targeted attacks at harassment sa journalists at media outlets na itinuturing na kritikal.
But the risks are mostly, how shall I say, institutional. Kasi nung time ni Marcos Sr., they were mostly crony papers, no? I mean, it worked for one. So, journal, one of the three crony papers. Control talaga nila. Pero ngayon, they are owned by private businessmen. So, the pressure can come not necessarily from state elements. It can come from as a result of ownership setup sa media because most of the private media owners now, they are also into several other businesses. Pag may nagtanong nga sa akin, so walang press freedom. When you say you have press freedom, pag mayroong free marketplace of ideas, then you have to learn how to use the various players well, di ba?
Dagdag pa ni Chuchay, mas komplikado rin ang sitwasyon ngayon ng pamamahayag dahil sa malawak na paggamit ng social media.
Noon, ang meron lang tayo, the legacy media, di ba? The broadcast and then the print. Ngayon, ang hirap. Talagang malakas yung social media and then medyo na-perfect na nila yung the use of troll armies. So, we've seen that happen in 2016. We've seen that happen the past so many years and still see it happen now. Yung cyber libel is more complicates our situation because it's tougher, no? The penalties are tougher. Nakakatakot kasi doon ba kasi pag yung narrative mo it doesn't suit the narrative somebody powerful, mababaliktad ka pa di ba? Parang just because iba yung kwento mo, ikaw na yung nag-cyber libel.
Noong 2021, kasama ang Business Mirror sa 7 pahayagan na kinasuhan ng cyber libel ni na dating Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi at businessman na si Dennis Uy. Nag-publish ang mga ito ng istorya tungkol sa pagkakasangkot umano ng dalawa sa graft complaint sa Malampaya gas field buyout.
Cusi and Uy filed separate complaints in Taguig and Davao City Prosecutor's offices. Cusi sued 7 news companies and almost 20 reporters, editors and company heads, seeking 200 million pesos in damages for each complaint.
Binawi na ni Cusi ang reklamong isinampa noong Nobyembre kaugnay sa nainathalang balita ukol sa Malampaya deal. Ayon kay Cusi, sa kabila ng naramdamang sakit sa mga lumabas na balita, mas makabubuting umusad na lamang at maiwasan na ang masalimuot na proseso ng pagdinig sa kaso.
It was easier for us to prepare our affidavit kasi na-document namin lahat. So we were able to show na this was fair reporting. We even led off with the statements from the DOE website. So yun lang yung nakatulong. Sabi ng lawyer, mabuti na lang, maingat kayo. Always fact check. Once mabutasan yung istorya niyo, hirap na talaga.
Ano po yung mapapayo niyo sa mga bagong journalists na magko-cover or nagko-cover ng mga human rights situations like the one you experienced?
Yung mga bagong journalists na yun, they have all the means to find out what's happening around the world. Hindi lang yung media dito, media around the globe. And yung interface between media and governments, gamitin nila lahat ng opportunities at their disposal. Ang hirap magpayo. I remember kami din noon, okay, si Joy yung North Star namin, but for the most part, for the day-to-day, we had to make judgment calls on our own. Karamihan sa amin nun, bata pa din. Most of the time, we tried to consult each other. Palagi mo na lang isipin, ano ba yung tama? Ano ba yung kaya kong gawin? Pick your battles. Huwag yung araw-araw pasgud ka, kalaban ka. Kasi minsan may mga bagay na pwedeng hindi mo na muna masyadong pansinin kung meron kang mas malaking nilalaban. There's no fixed thing. Kahit na ilang takeaways ang bigay ko, marami nang nabago sa mundo. So for the most part, they will really have to chart their own destiny. Pero ang guiding na lang doon palagi, huwag mong isiping nag-iisa ka. Don't try to do it alone. Always try to reach out.
Dito sa What the F Podcast, walang murahan, usapang facts lang.